Hello everyone, this is Mumbo and welcome back to another episode on the Hermitcraft server. It is episode 87 and today is a warm day in England, which means it's a very warm day in the VW bus. This thing is made out of tin. It has absolutely no insulation whatsoever, and about 60% of it is windows, which means I'm basically sitting in a greenhouse right now. Woo! Regardless of that, it does feel good to be back on the Hermitcraft server, and in today's episode we're actually going to be doing something a little bit different. We've been doing a lot of technical projects lately, and a lot of kind of big, large things. What I want to focus on today is making something pretty. But before we start work on that, I hear that Grian and Iskal have been doing some AFKing over at my farm, and also Iskal has improved the rates of my farm by increasing the speed of the redstone clock. By the look of things though, they have actually taken all of the redstone boxes. I don't know where they've taken them to, but apparently there was 5 of them. I can't actually remember now. There was 10 of them, and I'm assuming they've been taken to the Sahara place. Anyway, over to what I want to do. Let's face it, this build is rather ugly. I mean, it is... Yeah, there's no two ways about it. It is horrendously ugly. So, I think in today's Hermitcraft episode, what I really want to focus on is making this thing absolutely stunning. I'm going to try my best to do a really good job on this. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it just yet, but it's going to be an interesting episode regardless. However, I have just realised that we never actually tested this thing. I mean, we never gave it a go. We never put any items on the inside, and we never actually put any fuel into it. So we're going to solve that problem now. I'm on my way over to Iskal's ridiculous wither farm, which also produces a ridiculous quantity of blaze rods. And action! Now I have to remember to turn this farm off before I leave, because otherwise I'm going to be in big trouble as it will break the entire thing. But any second now, you should begin to see things dropping down. Oh yeah, there we go. I've never used this thing before, it's so silly. Look at this thing. Oh my word, I need to swing more. Well, I'm going to use this for about an hour, just because it's fun, and I think I want to see how many resources we get, and I'll see you then. Now, I thought it would be fun to do a super fast time lapse of me doing all the wither killing, and I thought during this super fast time lapse I would talk to you about the fact that it is my YouTube birthday today, apparently. There is a Twitter account that is like a Hermitcraft bot that just tweets out milestones and things like that, and it tweeted out today that I have been on YouTube for 7 years, which is pretty crazy now that I think about it. So 7 years ago I would have been 16, so yep, quite a lot younger, and I had no clue what I was doing, and yeah, I just kind of booted up this YouTube channel and started making Minecraft videos. I'd had YouTube channels in the past, Call of Duty and things like that, but I started this because it seemed like a fun idea, and I had no idea that it would turn into this, and I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has supported me over the past 7 years, because that's a huge quantity of my life. Nearly a third of my life has been spent on YouTube. That's so strange. Now I think about it, oh, I'm getting scared. Right, well that was really quite successful, so let's start taking a look at some of the bits that we got. So if we take a look in here, we managed to get ourselves just over... I mean, we've got 1.5 stacks of wither skeleton skulls, which is totally crazy. I mean, how many beacons is that? That's 30 beacons. So we've just got 30 beacons right there. That's brilliant, but more importantly, the blaze rods... We have got 1 filled shulker box in here. So that's 1 filled shulker box, and then we have a bunch of them here as well. So I think it's safe to say that that was massively successful. I mean, this farm's my favourite thing on the Hermitcraft server by a long way. Oh, I can't remember how this works. Iskal needs to warn people that his tunnel isn't finished. I was cruising along at high speed thinking everything was fine, and I just fly out the end. Oh my word. I mean, I suppose at least it wasn't over lava. That would have been exceptionally cruel. Anyway, I've just come back over to the super smelters and I started loading them up with fuel, and we ran into some weird problems. The items were actually dropping into the hoppers even though the hoppers were clearly powered. But actually, I think it's because when I was placing in the redstone, I actually didn't have this block in place here. So this hopper isn't powered. I then placed in the block, but the hopper didn't get updated, so it still thinks of itself as not being powered, so all the items are dropping in. I wonder if that is the case. Yep, it is. Okay, well that explains a lot. So I have to break all of the redstone dust and then just replace it a little bit like this. How strange. Now that that's done, I'm loading in all of the fuel, and it all seems to be going in correctly into each one of the furnaces. So each one of these should end up with 32 blaze rods on the inside of it. And this is looking pretty spot on, to be quite frankly honest with you. Yeah, that's perfect. So, now that we're fully fueled, it's time for the actually scary bit, which is to place in all of the shulker boxes. So those are the 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's not a good start because that was a bit strange. Alright, so they're now all in that dropper there. Then when we flick this lever, that should activate everything. Okay. 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 All right. So that has spat out all of those. Then we've got one more shulker box there. We've got one shulker box of sand here. One shulker box of sand there. And one shulker box of sand there. That has been evenly distributed throughout. Now all of the items are making their way down into the systems. Oh my word. Have we actually done something good here? Okay, I need to turn that off quick. Now this is where things begin to get really interesting, because I've just smelted through all of the glass in this shulker box. And by the way, this is how fast the glass... It's actually being smelted 4 times as fast as this because we've got 4 modules. But as you can see, this is now run out. The new shulker box has been put in place. And then if we take a look down at the bottom, this should hopefully also be about to fill up, because the same amount of sand that went in is now coming out, if you get what I mean. And this shulker box should pop off, unless it already has. No, it hasn't. I'm getting scared. I am getting scared. And rightly so, because they were entirely broken, simply because a random item fell into the hopper and then fell into the shulker box. So we have to be really careful that something like a single stone brick doesn't fall in, because obviously that means that the shulker box then can't fill right the way up to the top, which means it won't trigger this system, which means it won't be put down into the storage system. Anyway, that's now finished, and we are now getting shulker boxes as our output. This is really, really cool. It's now about 40 minutes later, and I'm just trying to solve a mystery. Some of the shulker boxes have gone missing, and I cannot work out where they have gone. Yeah, I don't have the foggiest idea, to be quite frankly honest with you. So it turns out, very occasionally, shulker boxes end up in the furnaces, which is a big problem. I've adjusted all of the timings for the top circuitry, and after a couple of tests, they do all seem to be working properly now, and all of the shulker boxes are making their way to the desired location, which is brilliant, because I definitely panicked there. Okay, on to the actual project of today's video, which is to make this thing beautiful. But first I just want to mention that, yeah, all of the glass was smelted. We now have 12 filled shulker boxes with glass. That's going to come in handy. Now I thought it would be a good idea to take some time to actually fly out over some of the builds that are on the Hermitcraft server, just to get some inspiration. And when I say fly out over some of the builds on the Hermitcraft server, kind of specifically means Scar's area, because I want to build it in this sort of style. And it is so ridiculously beautiful. Oh man, it's so cool. So I kind of want it to be a little bit like this, because obviously, you know, we're next to the giant hole of the witch hut. We can definitely get away with doing some ruinous stuff, you know. So I think, and mixed in with the fire and the lava, because it is a super smelter, I like the idea of it looking like a hot area. Okay. I think I've come up with a few ideas. Yeah, I like the idea of the magma and things on the underside. Okay, yeah. I think I've come up with a few ideas here. Wow. This is a really, really cool build. I love being able to see inside it. Oh, I wish I could do this sort of thing. So obviously one thing that we're going to need lots of is magma blocks. I also have a lot of brown concrete. I'm not sure if that is correct or if I should instead be using brown terracotta, but I'll take it with me just to see what it looks like. Right, let's cover up all of the water around here because water and lava, I mean, they're not really famously next to one another, so let's get rid of these. Next up, we're going to go underneath the super smelter and we're going to take out all of the blocks around it and under it and make it float up in the sky. The only issue is that I've placed a lot of redstone on the ground, so we're probably going to have to reconstruct that. I mean, how could I have learnt, after years of playing Minecraft, not to place your redstone just straight on the floor? It always ends badly. Despite that, we do now have a full area fully cleared out underneath our super smelter here. So you can see that all of the grass has been removed from the gaps here, so they've been replaced with stone slabs. We've got stone bricks in this area, so all of this redstone has been reconstructed and put back in place, and we have at least one block underneath the entire thing, but for the most part it's actually 2 or 3 blocks. So this is looking pretty cool. It's actually looking better already, to be honest with you. Originally it looked like it was kind of plonked on the glass. Now it actually looks like it has a spot in the landscape, but there's still so much work to do on this thing. The first thing that I want to do is I want to replace all of the blocks underneath here with kind of like a hellish environment. So we're going to create kind of pools of magma and little rocky areas and cobblestone and things like that, and just try our best to add, I don't know, a little bit of excitement underneath here. Right, what do we think of this so far? I mean, it's fun to play around with. It's barely visible. I think we should keep going though. I like the idea. I think now that the edges are growing up, it's starting to look a little bit cooler. So I think once we actually build in the edges all the way around this thing and then build up the edges here with coarse dirt and things like that, so it looks like it's kind of seeping into the environment around it, I think it's actually going to look pretty awesome. This does look pretty cool in the night though. I've started placing in more of the floor, and even though you're never really going to be able to see it, it is cool looking through underneath this thing. I like it. I do. I like it. I mean, I definitely need to get better at this. And this is definitely outside of my comfort zone by a long, long way. But it looks pretty awesome. I've also just remembered that I can make pathways, and pathways are definitely in keeping with the style that we're going for, so everything's kind of rotting outwards. Oh, soul sand would have been smart. I wonder if I can add some soul sand into the mix further on down the line. But I mean, if we fly up, you do kind of lose a lot of the detail, but it definitely looks interesting, way more interesting than it did before. Right, so a couple hours later, we are now kind of done. I mean, I'm gonna have to do another pass of this, I think, and just kind of make my way round and add in a few bits here and there. But this doesn't look like any redstone contraption I've ever built before. It looks totally different. So this wraps around like this. We've got kind of blocks spiking up through the redstone contraption, and it's all kind of molded into the landscape. Very cool. Super cool. I have a newfound respect for Scar as well, because this is tricky. It is tricky to get right, and he does such a good job. I mean, it's so impressive. Anyway, the next thing that I'm wondering is whether or not I should actually, well, I mean, I've kind of made a decision now. I think I should make a platform up at the top here where we actually use this thing, because right now it's kind of a bit awkward. I mean, I have to fly up, I have to put the items in there, the levers up there, it's all a bit of a mess, and then all of the item pickup systems are down at the bottom here. So I think it would probably be a good idea to have some form of item elevator which sends the items up into the top section. Then we have a platform that's constructed here that's on, I guess, I mean, we could keep it, it's definitely got to be in keeping, so I'm trying to think how on earth I'm going to do that. And I do have an idea in mind that I think could look pretty cool. Right, so there is the platform in place, and it is, yeah, it's flying up there. I mean, it's currently flying, so, I mean, we do have to kind of take that into consideration, because what I want to do now is I'm going to build up kind of like a rickety-looking fence-posty structure that kind of looks like it's all falling apart, but it's held up just about, and that's what's going to be supporting this. Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. Right, here goes. I mean, there is our platform up at the top, and we've got things holding up bits. So everything's being held up by these fence posts here. And you know what? Okay, when I was building it, I wasn't so sure. I mean, I feel like we definitely need to build up some stone down at the bottom here to give this a little bit more kind of support underneath. But I, once again, actually think it looks quite interesting. I mean, it's just interesting, isn't it? I really wanted to do this in a style that was very different to any other redstone contraption, and that does seem to be working. The only thing that I had sort of forgotten about is the fact that we still need to get the filled shulker boxes, the filled ones that have been smelted, from down here up into the system, which, yeah, it could be a bit of a challenge. Does this look good? I mean, you know, I'm never going to be able to mask it. It's a big glass tube going through the center there. But I think it masks it okay. I think that's alright, especially from this angle. What I really want to do is turn this spot into kind of like its own mini little base type thing. So we've got the bed over there. I'm probably going to put a crafting bench in the floor. In fact, I can make one of those straight away, because that is definitely going to come in handy. So we've got that there. And then I think I'm actually going to connect this up to the nether. So we'll place a nether portal in this section, and that will be the way we get in and out of this place. And then all you really need to do is stand over here. You can see the witch farm, you can look down at this area here, but in theory you should never have to come off this platform, because the machine should do all the work. You know, one day I would really love to just go on a massive obsidian mining session and get like a shulker box's worth, and then never have to get obsidian again. Who remembers Hermitcraft Season 4 when CubedHost created an entire an entire biome of obsidian? I mean, I don't even know how he... What was he thinking? Now, I am famously bad at connecting up nether portals, but I'm hoping that this one should connect to the nether portal that I have just placed in the top section of my super smelter. So here goes. Promising. Very, very promising. Okay, so we've ended up there. Did I throw out all my obsidian? This is why I don't keep obsidian for very long, clearly. But anyway, if we go back through, also promising. Fantastic. Okay, so this is the tiny little nether hub that I've created for my two farms. Now, I must admit, I have been thinking ever since touring the Sidecraft server that it would be very, very cool if I was to hook up this thing with a piston bolt, because, I mean, this is pretty much diagonal from my nether portal, and those piston bolts work incredibly fast in the diagonal, so we could have just pistons pushing us along in a minecart. It would look amazing, but how many blocks is that? It's not that far. I mean, it would take a decent length of time to build, but it wouldn't be impossible. I think maybe once Sahara is done and we've got all the redstone intensive projects out of the way, that could be worth doing. Just coming up and over, out from the witch hut, this is a really cool looking structure. So flying in from that area down there and just coming over the ridgeline and seeing this kind of crazy looking thing, I'm a fan. Although it does highlight a few things that definitely need tidying up. So I think I'm just going to quickly rush around, do a tiny bit of just minor terraforming in this area here, and just kind of spruce up, patch up all the creeper holes and everything like that. And then I think I'm also going to get rid of the chests. Finally. I mean, in theory, we should never need to use these things again. Oh boy, I've got to be careful of those. Alright, I am actually going to quickly check through, because there are some subscribed cobblestones in there, and I do not want to I don't want to break my system again. Okay? That'll be like the 10th time. Now that we've done that, all of my stuff has been put into shulker boxes. There's also more shulker boxes that I've taken to my base, and there's some items that I've thrown out onto the floor. All of that is total junk. Apart from those activator rails, they'd probably be handy, but other than that, I mean, yeah, all total junk. And there's more junk somewhere over here as well. It's just kind of lying around. But I mean, if we take a look now, this does not look like a mess anymore. We have like a crazy build here, and then a crazy build here, and there's no kind of messiness going on. I'm chuffed to bits. I'm absolutely chuffed to bits, and I'm really, really pleased that we took the time to actually do that, because I was considering leaving this super smelter just kind of sitting there, but it's awesome that we actually took the time out to do some wacky decorating on it and actually make it quite an interesting build. Anyway, that, unfortunately, is all I've got time for today. I really do hope that you've enjoyed this episode on the Hermitcraft server. If you have, please sure to that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.